All right, ladies and gents, we are live. There was no schedule for today's live. Just simply going live because I'm actually not sure what to make a video on. Hello, friends. Feel free to put in cues in the chat. Mr. Gabo. How we doing, brother? Mr. G. Scale It Up Media, how we doing? It is a pleasure to be speaking with you guys. If you all would be so kind to do the pleasure and honor of asking a question, we will get this live stream started. Doing good, brother. I was supposed to make a YouTube video, had idea block and wasn't sure what to make it on, so I decided to just go live. Doing great, G. Lee, how we doing, Lee? Good morning from the Philippines. Say hi to all of the kittens and, of course, the daughters as well. Agency Enlightened is coming out most likely in, I would say, 4 months. I'm getting a module done per week. That's kind of the pace that I'm going at right now. If I stopped working on the agency completely, it'd be done in like a month. But Better AMS is the true first love. That's good. I'm glad you're doing well, Lee. Thinking of doing a YouTube video on using Notion. This is a software I've been spending a lot of time in lately. I love it. Absolutely amazing. Yana missed your face. She's so happy to see you. Tell Yana I said hello. And Zaira, how do I pronounce her name? Zaira, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I got a question. Have you had any experience with lead gen experts in Upwork or elsewhere? No, I haven't. You know, I've heard a lot of things about people not having good experiences and also some people having good experiences. So I've never done that, Mr. Gabo. How much can the course cost? It's looking like it's going to be $9,800. Again, it's for helping you get from like 10K a month to $100,000 per month. So it's not really something for beginners, obviously, because beginners likely don't have 10 grand lying around if they're thinking of getting started for an agency. Gabo, what have you heard I think I answered your cue, brother. Mr. Hyper Gamer, I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. How are you? Hope all is well. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing a video on Notion right after this live stream. We hired some software developers, and probably the biggest thing I've built in Notion, for those of you who don't know what Notion is, it's just like a company wiki software. Really cool. And yeah, I built a software wireframe in Notion, and I absolutely loved it. It was gorgeous. The software itself is coming together really well. The developers gave great feedback on the wireframe. They said the wireframe was amazing. And because the wireframe was so built out well, I mean, I haven't had to talk to the developers more than like 30 minutes a week. And they've just been building away for a couple months now, and it's just coming along really well. Very excited. Any help for beginners? Yeah, go to the How to Start an Agency playlist on my YouTube channel. That'll definitely help you out. Notion doesn't integrate with Zapier. That's true, but Mr. Hyper Gamer, I think it probably will in the future. So it's not a huge concern. And plus, a lot of what you do in Notion isn't really like, you don't really need Zapier. A lot of what we do in Notion is training SOPs and stuff that just needs to be done by hand. Like we're not really, there is not much going into Notion. In fact, nothing is in Notion that could be automated. Like it's just stuff that needs to be handcrafted. Like this software wireframe, handcrafted. The company wiki, like the team directory page, the training that we're building, like you can't, zap together training. You just have to write it out yourself and type it out. So it depends on what you're using it for, but that's where we've found the best benefit of Notion is one, the aesthetic, but two, like the search function. It's highly underrated. The aesthetic and the UI itself makes search so much easier, but the search function is also very well done. And makes it a lot easier to organize information. So, Gabo, what are you building? We're building a reporting software. Internally, it's private for our agency, so we can keep a better pulse on the performance of our client accounts. What's your MBTI? INTJ, I believe. How to generate qualified leads for agency. Yeah, go to How to Start an Agency playlist. Watch Trojan Horse Marketing. That's a fantastic video. Have you thought about a payment plan for the course? Going to be quite profit bootstrapped for the first 750K income. Yeah, I think we're going to accept 2 payments, potentially 3. I really just want to do like 2, but we might break it down into 3 payments once a month. So, like 9,800 divided by 3 over 90 days. Actually, 60 days. Day 1, day 30, day 60. Any tips on prioritizing tasks? Louis Schwartz. How you doing, Louis? Notion right now, I just got rid of my notepad and I'm trying to get my brain into Notion or into Asana. Asana is a different software, project management software. But for task management, prioritizing tasks, a lot of it is just common sense. But what you need is like a database where you can dump all of the important tasks that you need to do into. And so I just have, it's called personal in, and then business in. And you can think of this as just a giant list. Personal in is a list in Asana. And anytime I have something to do in my personal life, like if I need to pay the electricity bill, recently I had to do that because it was like the first month in this house. Or if I want to, if I need to do a random chore in the house or something, like I'll put it in Asana. I'll put it in that list. And then if I have something for business as well, I'll put it in the business list. But then I have my planner, and that's just like what I do on my planner, and I kind of just plan out the day, like 8 a.m. this is what I'm going to do. 8:30 a.m. this is what I'm going to do. 8:45 a.m. I plan out every action through the day. And I posted about it recently on YouTube. This is a post I did. So you can see what my daily planner looks like. But for prioritizing tasks, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like, well, what's the most important thing you need to do? If you want to get really good at prioritizing tasks, read the book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Great book. And if you want a little bit more detail on organizing your life, GTD, getting things done is a good book as well. Or just Google GTD system and read one of the simple 10-minute blog posts that summarizes that system. Kind of like a personal life management system. How would you differentiate Agency Enlightened from Joel Kaplan's 7-figure agency course? I can't. I don't know who that is and what his course is about. So I can't really compare, to be honest, Mr. Turag. That's the thing is, like, I don't know anyone. I haven't bought any courses on how to scale an agency. I've publicly shared the courses I've bought. All of them have been like marketing courses or sales or high level kind of life courses, but I haven't bought courses in years. I stopped buying them after I learned how to think through about systems and bottlenecks, and that was a big deal. Understanding bottlenecks and systems thinking was like, wow, don't need a course anymore. So yeah, apologize. But to answer your question, you had an interesting name, man. Turag or Turag. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. To answer your question, when it launches, there'll be more than enough information about what's inside the program for you to understand what is different about it. It's backwards. Garrett. That's funny. Cool. By the way, we closed with the bank and consulting firms. Potential for 700,000 from both in the next 6 to 12 months. Bank has 20 processes they want to optimize. Mr. Gabo. That's really cool, dude. Potential for 700,000. What does that mean? Is that how much you would be charging the banks for your services? Is Asana better than Notion for the agency and oneself? Yeah, they're not. They're different. They're totally different softwares. Ta. Notion is a company wiki, and Asana is a project management tool. Looks for more agency owner interviews. Yeah, I know. I like doing those interviews. I'm going to interview my partner, Destiny, next week. I've been meaning to do it. Or maybe it's this week. It's coming up. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self? Release materialistic desires and try to fall in love with the journey as quickly as possible. Makes life a lot better. And realize that you need to hire people and give them you need to get the right people in the right seats and make sure that you have positioned your culture and define your culture to the best of your ability in order to attract the best talent. Yeah. These lives are invaluable. Appreciate you. What books or resources gave you the best understanding of systems thinking? Thinking in Systems. This is a technical book which goes really deep into systems thinking, but it's amazing. And when I read this, I was like, okay, this is so technical. I'm never gonna be able to like fully understand systems thinking to like this kind of level, because people that are true systems thinkers and that's all they do, I mean, it's just crazy the kind of stuff. They're basically like engineers almost. And let me just show you what some of the illustrations look like in this book. I mean, let's see if there's one I can show. This is an example. I mean, real systems thinkers are like basically engineers. It's pretty complex. But I've talked about systems thinking in my YouTube videos, and that is pretty much all you need to know when it comes to your agency, is the fact that you have a giant pipe, you have different sectors of the pipe, you have the foundation, the marketing, the sales, the operations, the HR, and the finance. Those are kind of the big sectors of your pipeline within your agency. And one of them has a bottleneck. There always is a bottleneck. There's never not a bottleneck. And the bottleneck is just the biggest constraint. And every pipeline has a throughput. That's the rate at which the system achieves its goal. If we're thinking of just a pipe with water running through it, let's imagine that the goal is for the water to run as fast as possible. Basic stuff. If you have a pipeline like this, but the middle piece is like that, it doesn't matter how powerful the water's coming in through here. This is a constraint, and the speed of which the water comes out here is going to be, you can't increase it unless you optimize that constraint. So you got to look at your agency like that, and then you kind of have to, once you've identified the bottleneck from the high level bird's eye view, which we just talked about, the 6 different sectors, then you got to drill down into that sector and find the bottleneck within that sector. Most agencies have a marketing bottleneck. And I'll go a step further and say that even more agencies have a foundational bottleneck where they just don't really have a good idea on what their niche is, or who their ideal client is, or what their service is. You see a lot of these full service agencies, and it's a problem because they can't get their marketing right because they're full service. They're helping every business in the world. And when you help every business in the world, you can't really build a lead gen system because you don't know who you're helping, 2 to 3 books in sales. Combo prospecting. If you run like a design agency and you sell creatives, the best freaking sales book I've ever read is called The Pitch Without Pitching Manifesto. Man, if I sold design services, that book is insane. Whoever wrote that book is like, and it's like 90 pages. They killed it. There's another one, but it's not really coming to me, but those 2 are great. Do you think I should build my systems after I've already executed it a lot, or build them before and make them better? Yeah, you should only be building your systems. Like, it depends on what kind of systems you're talking about. If you're talking about the high level systems, defining what your agency does, and you're trying to map out the forget what it's called, the roadmap of your service. You know, if you're trying to map out the roadmap of if you're trying to map out the roadmap of your service delivery, I would wait, because you're just getting started. And so you don't really know what to try to put into a digital brain. But, you know, like while you're working with your first client or your second client, you need to be aware and conscious of like, okay, this is a repeating task. This is a task that I could delegate. This task is repeating constantly. How could I automate this? And you'll start to see the patterns, and just, if you're conscious as you go through it, then fantastic. Then you can start to kind of build the systems. Yes, that's about how much we could make from them according to our tech partner. Cool. That's fantastic. How do you hire the right people? Garrett, you cannot fool me with your name anymore. That's a great question. It starts with culture. You really need culture. I'm going to change the word right for great. First, you need culture. Once you have culture, then you need to start actually positioning yourself in the marketplace, and you need to, you know, get your name out there. Or you could just hire recruiters, and the recruiters could find great people for you. But it really helps to be known in your industry, which takes, generally speaking, a year or two of relentless inbound marketing. But even if you're not known, you just need the right culture. You need to have great recruiters, okay? And then that's how you find great people. Great recruiters, great culture. Those are kind of the two main things. In terms of finding the right person, you know, this comes down to, I'm assuming your question is like, how do I pick the right applicant? This comes down to like screening properly and making sure that this is someone who would be aligned with the role. We use personality tests. We get their Clifton Strengths Finder, and we get their COBIA personality tests. We get the visionary versus integrator personality test. We have 3 different people doing interviews with the person. We are very blunt and open about, you know, the position and what strengths are required, and we look for those strengths in the interview process. And so you get better as you go along. The more people you hire, the more you realize who is best for the specific role that you're hiring for. Yeah, calling references, all that stuff, basic. It's pretty basic, but like, if you would have asked me that question a year ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer it, because we didn't have more than 2 people, you know, aside from like virtual assistants. How do you handle quality control of the service that your agency delivers? Matt, that's a great question. Whew, that is a great question. I'm going to answer it in 1 second. I'm going to ask my girlfriend to turn the TV down. Yeah, so quality control, I'm not, you know, this is going to be a very simplistic answer, but you simply hire great people. Very, very simple. Hiring great people is the 80-20. The second part of that is just to have good training and monitor the key KPIs, the key things that you like, identify the most important KPIs and then monitor them. So for us, we have a weekly standing meeting with the entire team. And generally speaking, the most important hire on the team right now at this stage of the agency is an account executive. Great. So what are the key KPIs for account executives in our team? One is that we're doing weekly reports. That's an easy thing to just like get lazy on. But if you get lazy on weekly reports and you forget to send a weekly report, the client feels neglected. They're going to churn. Your retention rate's going to drop. We monitor that. The other things we'll monitor, and this is why we're building our reporting software, actually, is like how many days has it been since a campaign was launched in this specific client's account? If a month goes by and no campaigns have been launched, well, that client's probably going to feel neglected if they notice that. So short answer, hire great people. Follow up to that is build good training. You don't need great training. You just need good training. If you have great people, good training will be sufficient. And then the third thing is identify and then measure the most important KPIs. And there's generally speaking, well, for us, there's only a few, but for you, there might be more or less. That's why we're building a reporting software, so we can measure these things much better and get more granular. How do you deal with a lack of motivation or getting discouraged too quickly? I haven't had that feeling in a long time. I think it's because the agency has such great momentum at this stage that, yeah. But when I had to deal with that, I mean, there was no alternative for me. Like when I was working in construction and I was living at my parents' house, that was it, you know? And so there wasn't really a lack of motivation because I guess for me, it was always just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be working in construction for the rest of my life. So you kind of just got to look at like, what are your other options? You know, do you want to work a 9 to 5? If you do, great. You know, some people really like it. But it's important, Alex, to start out with like, what are you optimizing for in life? I think a lot of people go through life and they kind of just like look at other people. But you need to just take a step back, you know, remove yourself from everyone else and answer this simple question. What do I want out of life? What kind of life do I want? And be very honest with yourself, because like some people are happy with like a family and $65,000, $70,000 a year, basic house, you know, simple life. Other people, me, couldn't do it. I knew I wanted to make a significant amount of money to have financial freedom. I wanted to be able to live anywhere else, anywhere in the world, and be able to work. I really wanted to do something that I enjoyed. And yeah, so what are you optimizing for? And then once you figure out what you're optimizing for and what your Polaris star is and kind of like where you want to go in this life, many more to come, depending on your beliefs. But figure out what you're optimizing for. And then imagine if you weren't. Imagine like thinking and answering that question and then just what the alternative is. I mean, it sucks. Anything else sucks because that's what you want. That's the kind of life that you want. And so it's like, how could you not have motivation for that? You just kind of like a contrast bias. That's what I mean. Operational systems. Yes. Mr. Garrett, great answer. Thank you. Alex, how do you differentiate your agency from all the others? If you do manual outreach, if the niche has a lot of competitors. Our niche does have some good competition. Quite a few of our competitors are actually in Agency Enlightened, which is funny enough. Yeah, like differentiation, it's kind of like what makes you sui generis. Sui generis is this weird term, just means like unique. SUI space generous, I believe, GENERIS. It's kind of like what makes us unique and different is us, you know? It's the weird qualities of us that make us different, that we're not afraid to embody and show. You know, what makes you unique is you. And you shine through the brand. You shine through the website. You shine through the logo. Like Agency Enlightened's a weird freaking logo, but I'm into like spirituality and like enlightenment, and I've had some weird out of body experiences, and this lotus flower represents enlightenment, and like the rainbow is the spectrum of consciousness, and like that's me. I like it, you know. And so Better AMS, if you look at our website, I just really liked that style. I found some other websites that I really liked in totally different industries, and I was like, I like these websites. I want to make something unique with our styling, etc. You know, if you look at our Better AMS team page, we have funny bios. We don't really put like super corporate bios. We play game days every Thursday, every week. You know, what makes you different is you. The mistake that people make is they start an agency and they look at the competitors and they try to copy them and look just like them, because they think if I look like them, the prospects are going to come to me and I'm going to be able to get a portion of the market, because company A is the best company in the industry. So I want to look like company A, and everybody follows company A. But what people don't realize is that company A got there by looking like none of the other companies in the category, you know? So how do you differentiate yourself? Just be unique and be you. And don't be looking at everybody else, wondering what everybody else is doing. Just think for yourself. I don't know, like shine your unique qualities. Good to catch you on a live. Have you read Voltaire's? No, I haven't. Is that a good book? I don't know. I'm pretty open-minded. The Dictatorship of Reason in the West is a sweeping, provocative exploration of nothing less than the political, economic, social, and cultural origins of Western society. I have not read that book. Maybe I should check it out. I don't know. All right, you guys, this has been epic. Is there any other final cues before we hop off and end this live? I got to finish setting up the office. I'm getting the soundproofing tiles in this office because there's a bit of an echo, and I'm going to set them up. Well, no other cues. I appreciate you guys coming on. There was quite a few people on today. It was a good live. Much love, you guys, and I will see you hopefully sometime soon. Maybe Friday I'll put out a video. This has been epic. Much love, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Ciao.